Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astroguide Mysore. Today let us understand the results when Saturn is placed in the fourth house in any horoscope. We know that the fourth house has a lot of important significations like mother, land, residence, houses, all materialistic achievements, whatever a person has acquired, materialistic acquisitions like vehicles, luxury, uh, the jewelry, everything has to be seen from the fourth house. Particularly, the fourth house is for sukha, enjoyment. This is not pertaining to anything spiritual, but the fourth house is enjoyment with regard to materialistic relations. That is, if you enjoy a good house, a spacious house, you enjoy a good journey, you enjoy a luxury car, you enjoy. So this type of sukha, that is, you have a good bed to sleep, you have a good place to sleep, you have the good in the sense that it all depends on what the native wants. So if the want of the native is happily satisfied, that means the fourth house is well placed. So we have to count it from the house of desire, that is the eighth house. So if you see what is the count from the eighth house, if you count eighth from the eighth house, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the ninth house from the eighth. That is, it is the Bhagyasthana for the eighth house. The eighth house is your desire, innate desire, and fulfillment of desire happens when the fourth house is very well posited. The problem here is that fourth house is also a direct opposite house to the 10th house, which is the Karmasthana. That is the house of profession and professional success. So that means the fourth house becomes an opposition, a hurdle to the 10th house because it's direct opposites. So it's like a coupling. So if the fourth house is very heavy, the 10th house becomes light. The 10th house is very heavy, then the fourth house becomes light. I keep on telling this, that if you are involved too much, you indulge yourself too much into enjoyment of pleasure and leisure, then where will be the time to work and do something great in your life? So the same thing, if you are a workaholic and you put in too much time into your job, where will be the time to enjoy your life and relax, take some leisure, vacations, travel? So people who want to have both job life and travel, vacations also nicely, these two have to be equally placed, balance should be there. So nothing should be very heavy and the other one should not be light. So Saturn in the fourth house, 100% it makes the fourth house extremely heavy. The thing is, in the Saturn period or the Saturn Dasha, or you take the Saturn transit in the fourth house, over the fourth house, or if Saturn is, weakly posited with a malefic influence in the fourth house, the person will suffer through his whole lifetime with regard to residence, problem in residence. He will not have a good residence. Always he'll keep recurring repairs, renovations, rental problems, lease problems, many other things. So with regard to the house, he'll not be satisfied. So this is when Saturn is badly posited. I'm talking about a bad Saturn now. For the while, let me talk about the whole thing of a negative Saturn, and then I'll go into the positive Saturn. So mother, separation from mother, because the fourth house is also mother, Matrusthana. So the Karaka for the fourth house for Matrusthana is moon, and for Karaka for Sukhasthana is Shukra, that is Venus. So there is not a single Karaka for the fourth house, there are two Karakas. Even the Karaka for Loba, that is to acquire too much of property, Jupiter becomes the Karaka. Venus is not the Karaka for too much of acquisition. So these are the main benefic Karakas, no? Moon, Venus, and Jupiter, which are benefics in the natural sense, but sometimes they give malefic results when they are placed in the fourth house by giving rise to Karako Bhavanashaya. That is, when Karakas sit in the fourth house, they might give reverse results. If they are weak, I'm clearly telling, if there is a beautiful Venus sitting in the fourth house which is strong, like having a strong Shadbala or exalted, excellent results of happy and luxurious life is there. Happy in the sense that enjoyable life with regard to materialistic acquisitions. So, Saturn in the fourth house, it shows that there might be separation from mother. There might be a stepmotherly in experience that he or she, that the native might stay in somebody else's house. Because of distance, it's not that it's going to have any difficulty of longevity to mother. It is mostly with regard to distance from mother because of education, or mostly because of education, that the native might be staying in somebody else's house, like an aunt's house, like grandmother's house, or somebody else's house, or even in hostels. So, staying away from the native place is also seen. It's not, the distance is not too far away, but still it's staying away, out of sight, what we call, from the place of residence, that is where their real residence is, and staying a little far away, even for a job or for education, is seen. So here I have made a point here where I have written down a point that if the event happens in a young age, it might be like living with others for in others' house for education, like hostel life. But if it happens in old age, see, the thing is that Saturn in the fourth house doesn't mean that the fourth house gets triggered every day. So when Saturn's malefic and weak position in the fourth house gets triggered in the old age, these people can shift to old age homes. They might lose the link with the children. And why the link with the children? That is because the fifth house, uh, the behind the fifth house, the fourth house is posited. That means it is the 12th from the fifth. So all these bhavat bhava, that is house to house relationship, has to be taken considered. You cannot simply take one house individually and deal with it. It doesn't give you results. Like for example, if you have to relish, if you have to relish foreign items, if you have to relish you know some things which are of through your senses, have to be sensually active, because that is the 12th house. Then the fourth house has to be strong, because it is the fifth from the 12th. It's like 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fifth from the 12 and ninth from the 8th. Just imagine such a strong position the fourth house is, and it is the 11th from the 6th. So, it's a very strong position, the fourth house, which actually shows that whether a person will have a strong 6, 8, 12th house. So, the fourth actually supports these houses by its position. So, Saturn in that position is not a great position at all. Usually, it's a very bad position. It's not regarded as a good position at all, until and unless Saturn has given rise to a Sasa Yoga in the fourth house. Sasa Yoga happens when Saturn is placed in the fourth house, and it also is its own house, Mula Trikona, and the house of exaltation. So, if that is the case, then Saturn will give extraordinary results. We always keep telling that these people will go and enter into very high status jobs. So, like clearing UPSC, going as an IAS officer, going as an ambassador, very high level governmental jobs. Saturn, Sasa Yoga, fourth house is fantastic, provided there are other Dasha Bhuktis of planets which are actually supporting it. So they will have very good property, excellent things. They will also be in transferable jobs. If you are in a government job, you will have to be staying in their guest houses, in a government houses, but you will have extraordinary facility. See, staying in a rental house with full facility is different from staying in a shabby rental house where you keep on repairing things. So that's very good Saturn position. But if it's a bad Saturn, then people will go through legal problems, issues with regard to property, rental documental problems, paper problems. So even maternal property which cannot easily flow into their hands, and it gets caught up with lot of legal problems, is also can also be seen from the fourth house weak Saturn's position. Chronic ailment of the, liver, chronic ailment of the esophagus, chronic ailment of the, the what we call as the GERD, what we get the gastric trouble, where you keep getting that reflex from the esophagus. So that also can be seen from the fourth house. You can also see whether the person has any problem with regard to the upper part of the heart. So Saturn weak, it shows that there might be difficulties of the lungs, heart, the liver, and the upper part of the stomach. Because the fourth house shows all this. The lower part of the stomach, heart, and the abdomen, that is just before the diaphragm, is the fifth house. That will come in the next coming classes. So loss of property is seen if Saturn is weakly posited in the fourth house. Okay, so usually people live in crowded places, damp places, dark places, and nowadays dark place and damp place, you don't have to search very far away. You take the ground floor of any building with high-rise buildings all around it. You don't get light, you don't get wind, you don't get air, you don't get ventilation, and it will be always dark and damp. So people always seeking the ground floors with all these dark, cold, facilities. Saturn weak in the fourth house. If you have, like for example, you have a strong Jupiter in the fourth house, you have a strong moon in the fourth house, you will have a water body next to your place. You have a strong sun in the fourth house, you will be in a bright, sunlit tropical area. So these are tendencies. It's not that it's a must, but still you can understand the tendencies when they actually trigger. You can understand that why a person in Canada suddenly moves to a tropical country, and why a person in a tropical country suddenly moves to a cold area, cold place. So all these you can understand. You can even understand that all the day, all these days you were in the second floor happily enjoying a good balcony, a nice wind and a air. Your health was good. Suddenly, because of the Saturn's effect in the fourth house, and it gets triggered, you get shifted to a new job where you will get a guest house wherein you will have amenities of the ground floor. Even in Sasa Yoga, it does that. See, Saturn is Saturn. It's not that because it's good, it will not suddenly give you an elevated place. It will give you ground. It just Saturn means grounded to the ground. So there is also one very important thing in with Saturn in the fourth house with regard to vehicles. People keep asking me, if Saturn in the fourth house, should I not do business? You can do business. You can do business of parcel shifting parcels. You can do business of transport. You can do load bearing vehicles. You can do a lot of all these jobs of labor can be done when Saturn is in the fourth house. People can get into jobs like commission business, like life insurance, like medical insurance. So this is a very strong position of Saturn with regard to if it is a good Saturn, then people can do excellent business in sheet metal fabrication. They can do very good business in factories. So if it is a but usually Saturn in the fourth house is regarded as a bad Saturn. So now I hope I have covered. I think a lot of points here. Um, if Saturn is malefically placed, then person can indulge into lethargy, which is one of the most dangerous thing for Saturn in the fourth house. Lethargy can kill a person's profession. So it's like, I'll do tomorrow. Do today means you have to do now, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. You simply keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. That's only because of lack of confidence. You don't have that strength of confidence to do things today. So you will keep pushing it to tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and so and so. And what will happen is one day you will miss that opportunity altogether. So you will be too late. So to grab an opportunity, you need to have the motivated fourth house. But here, Saturn weakly posited in the fourth house, they will keep planning, but they will never execute. A strong positive Saturn in the fourth house, good positive Saturn in the fourth house, they will plan and timely execute. That's why these people reach heights in their job. So thank you very much for today's class.